Gut, es ist halt einfach, soweit sich das Problem und everything, it makes such a lake relatively small, so a lot of countries so much. Okay,
What's interesting is to notice how far up those hills. This may or may not be a desert, I don't know. But this is a nice source of water coming down through here. Whether it's a permanent source, I don't know. And the size of the trees here, my guess is that it may be permanent. This is different than a cat's claw, but has the same effect. There's another kind that's a little different. This has opposing barbs, but these are pliable. You have to hit them head on, I think, in there. I don't know what it is, but it's got a seed pod, notice right there. Just a little wayside stop, probably for visitors. Probably a baño, but I understand it's pretty bad. You'd be better off to go back in the woods somewhere and go. But it probably serves the local area well. Gathering place for people.
no, es una paja.
We're in a small museum before we actually go into the park proper. It's interesting to look at the asbestos crystals. You don't see much of this dead one anymore. It's interesting how here and nowhere else that I've been into they show an actual chemical diagram of each of the minerals. Not that I understand it at all. See, what's interesting about this is that it goes another step farther and actually shows diagrams of the crystalline structure. Not that I understand what the heck it is, but just noticing this one right here on the left, the trapezoidal, offset trapezoidal versus the rectangular solid, and presumably the red and the blue in the back indicate. Maybe have a chance to compare these. It's interesting to look at the designs of something. An entire hemisphere and continent away from the Anasazi, and wonder, was there any connection technologically? These are different in design. Notice the flared top. And notice this, the markings on them are not painted but scratched in. Except for here, there's something. A very plain bowl. Various insectos. These are what we would call grasshoppers in some form. Big motor scooters. Notice the two totally different kinds of wings. For what purpose, I don't know. I don't know if these will come out in the camera. They're blurred. There's so much reflection, but notice how fine those points are. Like that A44 with serrated edge. And look at the workmanship in that number 56. A nicely detailed old building. The metal restored. The light filigree. This is some kind of an old wooden bowl carved to look like some kind of animal. I can't tell quite what. It almost looks froggish. Snooker table. Don't know how old it is. You can see how small the pockets are. Not terribly elegant, but a nice one. Big one, heavy probably. We're now at Ischigualasto National Park. There's a herd of guanacos. Now we're looking about probably southeast right now. The rugged and forbidding land reminds me of course, of Utah. But a lot more green, it looks like, than we'd see in Utah, although this is the rainy season. Presumably the 3-hour tour we'll be on will be out into this area. Looks like the shoulder blades, presumably the spine and the skull. This is the head of one, and then the head of two, and then the head of three here. And it appears that what happened, there's an example, or there's a diagram of what we just looked at. But what appears to have happened, according to the diagram, is that the three of them wandered into a cave. The head of the cave collapsed, the entrance, and they were trapped inside. This is illustrating how they make a cast of the bones that have been retrieved in order to make replicas for museums and so forth. Gracias. These look like the Velociraptor. These were uncovered in 1973, and the original is in the San Juan Museum. This one only looks about 14 inches high, maybe 3-4 feet long. But I bet you'd be tangling, but like tangling with a very nasty dog. A little bit larger. This is a reconstruction of a predecessor, 230 million year old predecessor of the crocodile. This is apparently a representation of that was a representation during the Triassic period. This is apparently what happened. Layers perhaps of sedimentary, don't know, but then there was an uplift and that created whatever we got now. It's apparently another timeline concept, I think. This is a large sandstone created from a seed. Many different levels. They were deposited particularly. You can see them there. I guess some more of the Badlands topography. Same chemicals, bentonite, I'll bet you that is, and that's coal. Even where there's vegetation, it doesn't look like there could be enough water to live. Standing in a riverbed, you can see from the dark there that they've had some pretty good rains here. In this heat, for there to even be dark, we'd give a lot of hay. This is the rainy season. When the wind blows, it blows the sand and you can feel it stinging just lightly in my legs, but a pretty good indicator of the erosive power of the sand and the wind. And of course the rains then carry the grains of sand downward. This looks like the classic Palo Verde tree, except that it has a little bit of leaves or branches to it. Yeah, there's a reservoir up here. There's the dam. And then there's an aqueduct carrying the water all the way into town where I first saw it.